Welcome, everyone. Ready to dive into the world of EVs?
Let's do it. Always exciting to talk about this space.
Today, we're breaking down the EV sector. Where are the potential investment hotspots and what trends are really going to shape this industry? We've got this awesome report, EV Sector Investment Analysis, to guide us. It covers the big players, obviously, but also some really cool up-and-comers.
I'm really interested to hear about those.
Yeah, me too. Did you know there's a company claiming over 500 miles of range on a single charge?
Wow, that's incredible.
Right. Think about it. New York to Cincinnati on one charge. Mind-blowing.
Yeah, that really addresses a big concern for people thinking about going electric. That range anxiety.
Exactly. Okay, so to set the stage, the report calls EV sector growth explosive. Tech advancements, government incentives, and more people wanting green transportation options, it's all adding up.
And it's not just a fad. This is driven by some really powerful forces that are all pointing to EVs being a big part of our future. I mean, we're talking about reducing carbon emissions, advancements in battery technology, even just changing preferences, younger generations who want sustainability.
Yeah, it feels like a real turning point. So let's talk about the major players, the titans of the industry. The report dives deep into Tesla, General Motors, Ford, Toyota, the big names.
It's so interesting to see how differently they're all approaching this EV revolution. Gives us a real window into the whole market, the potential, the challenges.
Totally. So let's start with Tesla. I mean, they're still king of the hill, dominating the U.S. market. The report says their success comes from always pushing the tech boundaries and that cool factor, you know what I mean? But also their vertical integration strategy is huge. They control so much of their supply chain.
Yeah, from batteries to software, they're doing it all. That gives them real control over costs and production, a big advantage.
Plus, their full self-driving system. It's, well, controversial for sure, but it could be a huge source of revenue for them down the line with software subscriptions.
That's the bet they're making.
But the report also says, it's not all sunshine and roses. Competition is getting fierce, and some analysts are questioning their valuation. Is it sustainable?
Yeah, that's the big question. They've got the tech lead, and the brand is strong, no doubt. But established automakers, they have deep pockets, and they know how to manufacture at scale. It can be interesting to see how Tesla navigates this.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's talk about General Motors. They're going all in on electric, aiming for a fully electric lineup by 2035. And they're really using their size and that huge dealer network to get there.
Right, and their Ultium battery tech and the Super Cruise system, those are big differentiators. Plus, don't forget those partnerships.
Yeah. Honda, LG Energy Solution, they're teaming up strategically.
Which is smart in this kind of market.
For sure. But the report also highlights the uncertainty around EV profitability, especially competitive markets like China.
Yeah, it's a challenge for all the traditional automakers. It's a different game economically. Figuring out how to build a sustainable, profitable EV business, that's not easy.
All right, next up, Ford. They're aiming for 40% electric sales by 2030, so a big commitment there. And they're playing to their strengths. Mustang Mach-E, electric F-150 Lightning, those are smart moves.
Yeah, they're leveraging that brand recognition, the heritage, and the partnerships too. Volkswagen, SK Innovation, it's all about sharing those development costs and getting access to the right technology.
But, and the report mentions this again, can they make money doing this? Can they be profitable in this crazy competitive market?
It's a big question mark for a lot of players. Okay, let's shift gears. Let's talk about Toyota. They're kind of doing their own thing with EVs, right?
Yeah.
They were pioneers in hybrids, but they haven't jumped fully into the all-electric pool just yet.
Right, more focused on hybrids and fuel cells. We're kind of waiting to see how things shake out.
Yeah, like hedging their bets. Toyota's had a ton of success with hybrid electric vehicles or HEVs, the gas engine and electric motor combo. They've also invested a lot in fuel cell electric vehicles, the FCEVs. Looks like their strategy is all about diversifying across these different electrified powertrains.
So not going all in on battery electric vehicles just yet. Interesting.
Yeah, it has its pluses and minuses. On the one hand, they're catering to a wider range of consumer preferences, and they're kind of protected if battery tech or charging infrastructure doesn't pan out as expected. On the other hand, they could fall behind in the BEV market, which is really, where the action seems to be.
Yeah, it really highlights how dynamic this whole sector is. If you're finding this fascinating and you're interested in the financial side of these companies, by the way, check out the Stock Analytics AI YouTube channel. They do a great job breaking down the numbers and trends in the EV market. But for now, let's move on to the rising stars. The company's carving out their own niches. They're doing some really cool stuff.
Oh, absolutely. They're pushing the boundaries in so many ways. It's a whole new wave of innovation. Battery tech, designs, even the business models are changing.
For sure.
Yeah.
One company I've been watching is Lucid Group. Their Lucid Air sedan is getting so much attention. Over 500 miles of range. It's insane.
Yeah, it's not that
San
bad.
Francisco to LA on a single charge, no problem.
That's a big deal. Range is a huge concern for people, if they're thinking about switching to electric. Lucid is tackling that head on.
Yeah, and they're not just about range. They're going for that luxury market. High-end finishes, cutting-edge tech, the whole package.
Definitely a premium experience.
Plus, they've got some serious partners. Panasonic for batteries,
Yeah.
the Saudi Arabian Public Investment Fund for, financial backing. Those are key for a young company, especially in this industry where you need so much capital.
Oh, absolutely. Access to funding and the right partners that can make or break a company trying to scale up and compete with the big guys.
Absolutely. Okay, switching gears a bit. XPeng, a Chinese company, they're doing some cool stuff with their smart EV approach. Their X-by-Lot system's really interesting.
Yeah, XPeng is a great example of what's happening in China. They're focused on advanced tech, autonomous driving features. The X-Pilot, it's got adaptive cruise control, lane keeping, even some autonomous capabilities in certain situations.
And they're not just staying in China.
Yeah.
They've already started expanding into Europe. So, global ambitions there.
The Chinese EV makers, they're a force to be reckoned with. Big domestic market, government support, and their expertise in battery tech and software is growing fast.
Definitely a trend to watch. Okay, another Chinese company worth talking about is NIO. They're really focused on the customer experience.
Yeah.
And they've got some innovative solutions, like battery swap technology. Have you heard about that?
Yeah, the battery swap stations, instead of plugging in and waiting, you just swap out a dead battery for a fully charged one. It's so fast.
Genius, right?
It could be huge, especially in cities where charging infrastructure is limited.
Right, makes so much sense. And then they have these NIO houses, community spaces where owners can hang out, work, even go to events. It's a really different way to build brand loyalty.
Smart. Everyone's focused on tech and innovation, but NIOs, like focusing on the human side of things, the community.
Yeah, I like that. Okay, let's talk about a company that's speaking to the adventurers out there, Rivian Automotive. Electric trucks and SUVs built for, off-roading, exploring.
For good things.
Their R1T pickup and R1S SUV, they're getting rave reviews for their capabilities. And they've got some big-name partners, too. Amazon's using their electric delivery vans. Ford's also partnered with them.
It shows you the EV revolution is about more than just replacing cars. It's about electrifying everything. Trucks, SUVs, delivery vans, it's happening.
Totally. Okay, so we've covered the big players, the rising stars. But, the EV sector is more than just companies. There are these big trends shaping the whole industry.
And for investors, understanding those trends is key. We've got to talk about government regulations. They're playing a huge role in pushing EV adoption forward.
Yet globally, there's a push for stricter fuel economy standards, mandates for zero-emission vehicles, plus tax breaks for people who buy EVs, investment in charging infrastructure. It's all happening.
Those policies are making a real difference. They're signaling to everyone, consumers, businesses, that EVs are the future.
And on top of that, consumer demand is shifting. People are choosing EVs, for the environmental benefits, potential cost savings over time, and let's be honest, the coolness factor.
Yeah, people care about climate change, fuel prices are volatile, and they want a more high-tech driving experience. It all adds up.
And it's not just cars. We talked about Rivian and those adventure vehicles, but demand for electric commercial vehicles is exploding too, especially for deliveries and logistics.
Makes sense. Electric vehicles can save businesses a lot of money, fuel, maintenance, and they're good for the environment, help companies meet their sustainability goals.
But it can't all be smooth sailing, right? There have to be challenges.
Of course. Every industry has growing pains. One of the biggest for EVs is battery production. Sourcing the raw materials ethically and sustainably, that's a huge concern.
We're talking lithium, cobalt, nickel, making sure labor practices are fair, minimizing environmental impact, securing stable supply chains. It's a lot.
And the demand for these materials is just going up. There's a lot of pressure on resources and, we could see shortages. Prices are going up.
Right. And then there's the research into new battery technologies. Can we get batteries that are more efficient, last longer, and don't rely on materials that are hard to get or ethically problematic? That's the big question.
The search for the better battery, it's a constant race. Solid-state batteries, they sound really promising. More energy density, safer, but they're not quite there yet. Still expensive, and there are some technical hurdles.
So battery tech is definitely a key area to watch. It's both a huge opportunity and a potential roadblock for the industry.
Absolutely. And then you've got the competitive dynamics. This market is crowded. You've got the traditional automakers, ambitious startups, even tech giants, all fighting for market share.
It's driving innovation, but it's also risky for companies if they can't stand out or execute their plans well. What should investors be thinking about when they look at this competitive landscape?
You got to look beyond the hype. What are a company's core strengths? What's their tech roadmap, manufacturing capabilities, their go-to-market strategy? You also have to consider things like brand recognition, customer loyalty, access to capital. It's complex.
A lot to unpack for sure.
Yeah.
But it's an exciting market. And for investors, understanding those dynamics is key to finding the companies that will succeed in the long run. So we've covered a lot of ground, from the big players to the up-and-comers and all those trends that are shaping the EV future. Pretty electrifying stuff, right?
It's definitely been an exciting conversation. You know, the sector's just bursting with innovation, tech advancements, people wanting different kinds of cars, governments getting involved. It's a whole new era for the auto industry.
And for investors, it's a mix of exciting opportunities and, potential risks. It's a fast-moving market. You really got to be paying attention.
Absolutely. Investors need to do their homework, understand who's competing with who, and look closely at the financials, the strategy, the whole picture.
And I think this deep dive, using that EV sector investment analysis report, that's given us a good starting point. We've got a sense of the key players and what's happening in the market.
Yeah, but this is just the beginning. The sector's constantly changing. New technologies pop up all the time. What people want in a car, that's evolving too. And the competition, it's fierce. You got to stay informed to make good decisions.
Okay, so to wrap things up, I want to leave you with a question. Thinking about all this innovation, what do you think will be the biggest game changer in the EV world over the next 5 years? Will it be like a breakthrough in battery technology that makes range anxiety a thing of the past and brings costs way down? Or maybe a whole new way of owning a car?
Or, maybe it's a company we haven't even talked about today. Some underdog that comes out of nowhere with something totally revolutionary. It's hard to predict.
That's the exciting part. There's so much potential. But one thing we have to remember, even with AI helping us analyze trends and, identify investment opportunities, it's not perfect.
Right. AI can make mistakes. You always got to use your own judgment, do your research, and talk to a financial advisor before you invest in anything.
Couldn't agree more. This deep dive into EVs has been awesome. We hope you learned something. And until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and stay charged up about EVs.
And just a reminder, this is all for informational purposes only. It's not investment advice. Do your own research and talk to a professional before making any financial decisions.
See you next time for another deep dive.